Good morning and welcome to class today. First question answered. I know you're all wondering where you can get a fly vintage sweat jacket like this. Well, you can't because it's vintage, so just keep being jealous. Second of all, what's happening? Okay, so first thing I want to do, I want to go over the informal powers of the president, also known as the implied powers. Informal / implied. So let's take a look at the whiteboard that just doesn't dry erase. All right, so you have informal / implied. Okay? So informal / implied. And those are the powers that you just did in the packet. So executive order, executive agreement, and executive privilege. So anything that says this. Oopsies. It's fine. Ooh. Okay, so we have order, agreement, and privilege. All right, what do those mean? So order is just what you hear. It's literally an order. The president is giving an order, and it holds the force of a law. So it's strong, just like a law. Fun thing is, all of these executive powers do not have to go through Congress. The president does not need to ask Congress for their approval. Does that mean Congress is going to be happy with what the president does? No, probably not, because he's going around them. So there's no congressional approval, and in the executive order is strong like a law. Now, executive agreement is something like a purchase or a treaty or a pact with another country or a foreign government. So that, we're going to say pact. It literally is the word agreement. You create an agreement with another country. And guess what? It is not needed to have congressional approval. So a really famous executive agreement would be the Louisiana Purchase. When we purchased the territory of Louisiana, and it's much more than just the state, it's a huge area, from France. All right, and the last one is executive privilege. And that has been used by every president, but what I like to say is the presidents who are really, really known for famous executive privileges are the ones in the Bad Boys Club, such as Nixon or Clinton. The men who were almost impeached or had to resign before impeachment or were impeached. So, executive privilege means they get to hold information from the people and from the Senate. So there's specific information that might scare the people and they do not have to tell anyone. Sometimes this is actually really good. Maybe there's something that people don't need to know because if the people know it, we're going to go into hysteria. Sometimes this could be really bad, such as when Nixon had the Watergate scandal. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up. That's actually something important to know. Or when Bill Clinton was not giving away the Lewinsky tapes. So, if you don't know what that is, look it up. All right, so those are our 3 informal/implied powers, meaning they are usually stronger than express powers because they're not written down in the Constitution. If something's written down, it usually does what? Think. We've talked about this. It usually limits the person more because it's specifically written down. That's why the hats/rolls are known as the expressed powers. So the hats/rolls of president are the expressed powers. And they are expressed because they are written down in the Constitution. So they're actually limiting the president. Okay, so in the packet, you had to identify different powers. So I will let you know the 3rd page is quite hard, and there's some powers that they just created that we will not be learning. So if you have any questions on that, don't worry too much about the 3rd page, which is scenario 4, 5, and 6. But what I really wanted you to focus on was finding the informal and implied powers of the president in the news. And if you're watching the news right now, there have been a lot of executive orders, not only created by the president, but also in the last 3.5 years, but also by governors in the last couple of weeks. And that's what you did yesterday, is you looked at the executive orders created by governors. So, what are some advantages of these informal powers? Well, if we need to make a decision really quick, or if the president needs to make a really quick decision or hold something that could endanger the country from too many people knowing, he can do that with these powers. But also sometimes these powers give the president a little too much power and they might be abused. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn about the Electoral College. So this video has a lot today. You need to pay attention so you know what to do in this packet that I used Cam Scanner to get onto the computer. You could print it out, you could write the questions down if you don't have a printer. Whichever way you want to do it, go ahead. And when a bunch of you ask me how I expect you to do it, I'm going to tell you to watch this video that you're watching right now. So, the first page says, where would you go? What this is asked, let's get the first things clear. Yes, many of the states are missing, and yes, this big gray area is water. 3rd, yes, Mexico and Canada are not states. We get that. They're only on this map to show you the border. So you can ignore Mexico and Canada on this map, okay? But they do show you Oregon, Canada, Missouri, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Iowa. So that's your job to figure out what that means, okay? And you answer those questions. 2nd step, you have to read this page. This page tells you why the framers of the Constitution, so the men who sat in the Constitutional Convention room and wrote the Constitution for all those days, why did they create all this? Why did they create the Electoral College? What were they afraid of? Why did they want to get rid of for representation? And what did they think about the American people, which still kind of exists today? So, you really need to understand representation, fear, and knowledge when it comes to the Electoral College. Next step is, this is the process of the Electoral College. And at the end of this page, you need to answer these 4 questions. So the main process that I really, really want you to understand is steps 1, 2, and 3. Steps 4, 5, and 6 have to do with no president wins if there's no majority vote. But steps 1, 2, and 3 are extremely important because that actually happens. That's what happens every presidential election. Steps 4, 5, and 6 doesn't happen very much or ever. Okay, that's not you. Then you're going to go to elections that broke the rules. So these are the elections that went differently. All right. I usually do this awesome electoral college activity with you guys to help you understand a little bit better, but it doesn't work on Google Classroom because I need to actually see you and talk to you. And you talk back. So you're doing this instead. So elections that broke the rules. So for each election, you have to read and understand what it says in the charts. Then you answer the questions. So for the first one was the winner of each election is bolded. So in 1800, Thomas Jefferson, who was a Democratic Republican, because remember, they didn't have Democrats and Republicans. They had Democratic Republicans, they had Federalists. So he won, and he had 73 electoral votes. But Aaron Burr also had 73 electoral votes. So you're going to try to understand why he won. All right? And you're doing that on both pages. And then the last thing you do, and on the third page too. Sorry, here. The last thing you do is you fill out this chart to better understand. So at 1800, 1824, 1876, 1888, and not until 2000 when I was in third grade. Oh my God, that's so long ago. In third grade, when Bush, I know, maybe I was in fourth. No, third. When Bush beat Al Gore. Why did he beat Al Gore? Well, you have to understand, and I'm telling you that these elections might be important in the future for you to understand. Okay, just let that one sink in. All right, so you're filling out this chart. If you have any questions, please let me know. We'll go over the chart after, after spring break. Why do we have fun on spring break? If you're doing anything, remember to wash your hands as much as possible. Make sure that even though you might not be able, you might not get really sick from this, other people can. And please let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to help. I'm just teaching all day long. Good luck and goodbye.